This video will help you understand how to prepare for and to take exams in your math course this summer. Your exams in this course are all timed and proctored exams. For my developmental courses for pre-algebra and the elementary algebra, you will have 3 exams, 2 content-based exams, and then the final. For the math designated courses, so for Calculus 1 and Business Calculus, you will have 3 exams, a pre-test, and a comprehensive final, so 5 exams altogether. For your pre-tests, these are the only exams that are not proctored and not given paper and pencil. These will be found on your WebAssign. If you go to your WebAssign introduction video, it'll talk a little bit more about taking the pre-test. For your other 4 exams, the 3 are going to be content exams and then the comprehensive final. If you are in Fairbanks, and this is for all of my students, if you're in Fairbanks, you will need to take your exams at CDE. You can view the location and hours if you go to the CDE link on your Blackboard course. Down at the bottom of the page, there's the contact information. CDE is located at 2175 University Avenue, and the hours that they're going to be open are listed there. Usually you do not have to make an appointment to go to CDE and take your exams. However, you do need to have a picture ID, and you need to give yourself enough time. So if it's a 1-hour exam, don't show up at 4:30. You're only going to get a half an hour. They close at 5. Most of the exams in this course are 1 or 2 hours, so please look at the information that's posted before you go in, and make sure you understand how much time you're going to have and what materials you're going to be allowed to use. If you are not in Fairbanks, you will need to have your proctor set up and approved before you can take your exams. I recommend doing this the first week of class. I'll say that again. For all of you who are not in Fairbanks, you will need to have your proctor set up and approved before you can take your exams. This needs to be done the first week of class, so preferably before the 28th. If you have to give yourself a little bit of time, I would say try and get it done before the 28th. If you go to the CDE webpage, go under Request Exams, and there is all the information you're going to need to find a proctor, have your proctor approved, and then have the exam sent to them. If you don't have someone that you know can proctor for you, there is a list of approved proctors for the state of Alaska. And on this list, it gives where they're located and it gives their contact information, so you can email them or phone them and see if they'd be willing to proctor for you this summer. Check your schedules. They give all of the times that exams are going to be available, so please make sure when you're talking to these people, if they want to proctor, that you give them the dates so that they know when they need to be available for you. If you choose one of the proctors on the approved list, then all you need to do is fill out the request for an exam form. You need to allow at least a week. So for those of you, for example, if your exam is available June 1st through June 3rd, then you need to request it at least a week prior to that. That is so that CDE can contact the proctor, make sure that they are available, and get the exam to them and make sure that the exam comes through fine before you go to take it. If you are looking at someone who is not on that approved proctor list, you may request a new proctor by filling out the request and exam form and filling in the proctor information. Now, again, this is going to take time, so I would recommend getting this done the first week of class so that CDE can approve your proctor. If you've picked someone who's a relative, or maybe they work as a teacher in the district or at the college or university, they may not be approved due to relationships that they may have with you. So you need to make sure you give CDE enough time to actually approve your proctor before you start requesting your exam. Okay. Again, all of this information can be found on the CDE webpage under Request Exams. Okay. Now, within your Blackboard course, under your assignments folder, you will see some folders there about your exams. So for all of the courses, you'll see preparation for exam and then the number. One of the things I changed this semester is that also on there you will see the exam availability dates and when they are due. Okay. Inside each of these preparation folders, you'll see a couple of things. So there's going to be a brief description of what the exam is like. It'll tell you how many questions you should be expecting, how long you're going to have for it, and whether or not you're going to be allowed to use scratch paper or calculators or things like that. I should start by saying, again, most of the exams are 1 or 2 hours. You'll be allowed to use scratch paper on all of the exams. However, you will not be allowed to use calculators on most of them. So please be prepared for that. Okay. Also inside this folder, you'll see a reading preparation. So it'll talk about which chapters will be on the exam, so which ones you should look at. Practice problems from your textbook. Okay. And then usually I'll throw in a study guide. So the study guides are compilations of problems that you've seen either on the homework, WebAssign, Alex, My Math Lab, or problems inside the chapter that maybe weren't assigned but maybe were odd or things like that. So just a different grouping of problems. What I recommend before you go to take your exam is that you've done the reading. Look at the review sections within those readings. So if your exam's over chapter 1 and chapter 2, look over the review sections for those chapters. Once you've done the reading, look at the practice problems and do the practice problems. Most of the textbooks that we have also have chapter tests at the end of each section. I would recommend, if those are available, that you use them. Try to do these. Give yourself about an hour in test-like conditions, meaning no distractions, no interruptions, no books, notes, etc. Sit and do the problems and see how you do. All of the solutions are either in the back of the book or I've given them to you, so you can check your work. Okay. If you find that you're still having difficulties on different problems, make sure you get help before the exam. Don't wait until the day of the exam and try to email me, because more than likely I'm not going to get that email the minute you send it. Okay. So get help in advance. There's eLive sessions every week, so look on eLive. You can get help through there. You can send me emails in advance, and I'll try and get back to you. Math Lab. So if you're still having problems and you're on campus, you can go to the Math Lab and get help there. There's also the Math Hotline for students who aren't in Fairbanks. You can call and get help there as well. Again, just really important, make sure you get your questions answered before you go to take your exam. The day of the exam is not the time to be asking those. Okay. Once you're done your exam, please remind your proctor to email or fax the exam back to CDE. Those need to be submitted by 5 p.m. on their due date. Okay, that's so that I get them in a reasonable amount of time, can grade them, and get them back to you. Exams that are taken after the due date are considered late and will be docked 10% per day. Okay, so if your exam's available June 1st to June 3rd and you take it on the 4th, you're going to be docked 10%. Okay. More importantly, if you take it on the 4th, it means I'm probably not going to get it until later that week, the 5th, 6th, or possibly even the 7th. So the more time, the longer it takes to get it to me after the due date, the longer it's going to be before you can get it back, which means you're probably going to end up falling behind on some of your assignments. Okay. Now, for the Math 200 and the Math 262, In your assignments folder, you'll also see one other type of folder for exams. Okay, so again, you'll have the prep for exams, and then you'll also have the exam review. Okay, so for the Math 200 and the Math 262, what this is once you've done your exam and you've gotten it back, you're going to be asked to go back and rework your missed problems and look over and make sure that you understand everything. And there's an evaluation form that you'll need to fill out. This is part of your exam grade. Okay, this will talk about, what kinds of things were on the exam that you didn't expect, what you did expect, where difficulties were, what things you still don't understand. The reason you have this for the two math courses is because all of these problems or types of problems will show up on those comprehensive finals. Okay, for pre-algebra and the elementary algebra, again, your last exam, though it's comprehensive, is more of a chapter exam. All of the material that you will have in those courses kind of build upon each other. Okay. For all of the classes, once your exam is graded, you'll be able to then go to your gradebook and find a copy of your graded exam. Okay. This is what you'll use for the Math 200 and 262 to do your evaluation and rework your problems. For all of the classes, I encourage you to go back and look over your graded exams so that you can see what it is you missed, why you missed points, and if you have questions, ask. Okay. So again, to get to those, you'll go to the My Grades or the Check Your Grade, whichever it's listed in your course. And again, I can't click on here because I'm not a student, but when you click on there, it'll list all of your grades. Once your exam's been graded, you'll see a grade there. You can click on that link and there'll be a PDF of your exam, your graded exam. Okay. If you still have questions after reviewing your exam, please ask. I mentioned this before, but I'll say it again. And that's again because all of the stuff in here you'll see again in later material. So if you don't understand something, don't just try to move on and go on to the next lesson. Make sure you understand why you missed the points or where you made mistakes before you try moving on. Okay. At this point, you should be pretty much set to go for your exams. Again, go into your assignment folder, look at those preparations for your exams. Make sure in this first week of class that you go ahead and set up your proctor with CDE. That's probably the most important thing to get done in the next couple of days. Okay. If you have any questions on this, please feel free to contact me and let me know so that we can get those questions answered before it's time for you to take an exam.